So I would like to welcome Bridgette Bello, an executive who has seen the landscape of leadership in this area, in the Tampa Bay area for a very long time.
Yeah.
You were the main leader, founder behind the executive leadership. Just excited to have you over here. What I really want to learn from you, Bridgette, is the way you have seen the evolution of leadership and how people evolve personally and professionally and what it does to them. So thank you again and welcome to my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I was uniquely positioned for 20 years of my career that I sat with executives and leaders and founders and owners almost exclusively.
Yeah.
And I feel blessed by that. You were one of those, obviously. I think it's funny that last we were together, I was interviewing you. So the tables have turned. But yeah, I'm happy to be here and really, really grateful that you invited me.
It was funny, Bridgette. I remember when we were talking last time, we both said simultaneously that we don't like forecasts very much. And here we are today.
Here we are today. We put it out in the universe, right?
So, Bridgette, what I'm really interested, you have seen the journey of people. They build something. You have seen people, who are leaders, who are maybe powerful and influential, right? Do you see a difference between that? Do you see the difference that how people use this authority in their throughout their careers? You have seen the best and you have seen the worst. What's your take on that?
I think there's a big difference between those two. I think power almost has a negative connotation. I think influence has a positive connotation. I think people who are seeking power typically are seeking power for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. People seeking influence, I think, often are doing it for the right reasons, in my opinion. I personally never sought power. I certainly have seen executives who that was what it was all about for them. And they typically aren't the kind of energy that I like to be around. Mm-hmm. People who are seeking influence are, I think, oftentimes doing it because they think that they can help people. And use it that way, and hopefully they do. So yeah, I think there's a big difference between the two.
And I feel that it all relates to, and something that I feel very strongly about, the titles and the entitlement, right? That sometimes that people are trying to be somewhere in a hurry, and they don't see all the ebbs and flows that comes in between, and once they reach somewhere, they feel that they have arrived and there is nothing else to change. So my question, the next question is around that when you are building something, you build a company, you build a process, you invent something. The product seems to be great, but during this whole journey, what happens to you? What becomes of you during this process? I think that is a remarkable thing to observe. What's your take on it? That, when people are doing this journey, when they are evolving, sometimes we become polished diamonds, and sometimes we are the opposite of that. So what's your opinion about that?
That's an interesting question. I have very much enjoyed getting to know you, and I didn't get to see you as you were building, right? But I would certainly say that you have become a polished diamond. I love everything that I see you post. I think you're a very ethereal person, and I wish
That's very kind of you.
Everyone that built something like you have built turned out the way that you have. So I think you're a great example of what it should look like. I'm in the middle of building something, and super excited about that. And I know we might talk about that later, but what I'm experiencing and recognizing is how difficult it is, right?
It is.
It looks so easy. People make it look so easy.
It is.
And I think that's a testament to great leadership, right? If somebody can make this look easy, building look easy. Some people I see, somebody comes to mind that was a really nice guy when I first knew him 20 years ago. Built an amazing company and has turned out to be not a nice guy anymore. And I think that's an example of, what you asked me earlier, the difference between power and influence. Power has gone to his head. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. People talk about that and how sad it is, because what he's built is incredible and has been incredible for this community. So I think everybody's journey looks a little different, right? I was talking to another CEO last night, and we were talking about how excited I am that I'm learning again. And this person said back to me, "Oh, I'm a lifelong learner." And I said, "Well, I used to say the same thing." What I have recognized through this journey is that you don't realize you've stopped learning until you start learning again, and you go, "Oh my God, I forgot how much I like this," right? And so I think that figures into it, the ability to keep learning through the process instead of, as you said, thinking you've arrived.
Yeah, and I think that I think even the journey, whether the journey of observing the leaders, working with the leaders, and trying to study them at the same time. I think one of the biggest thing I feel that what is different about good leaders, they find their purpose somewhere in between, right? But like when I was starting, a young guy trying to figure it out how things are going to be, but somewhere in between, found a purpose that, what I need to do with my life. How do you connect with that? When did you find your purpose?
Oh, wow. That's another great question. I think that I have found my purpose more than once. It's never changed. It's always been that I feel like that I have to leave this place better than I found it, right?
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. But I have found the purpose to get me to the purpose a couple of times in different ways. I think I was blessed pretty early on to feel like that's what I wanted. We talked about before. I have been a First Amendment junkie since I was literally in elementary school, right? And being able to have the ability to tell stories and hold people accountable and keep it, democracy dies in darkness, right? And so my purpose has always been to make sure that I'm leaving the world a better place.
I think that is a philosophy. If all of us can follow, we definitely will leave this world much better than where we are today. I'll go back to building something, and I hear this all the time, that when you build something, when you reach a certain point, people think that it's just easy to be there where you are. They don't see the whole journey. They don't see the number of hurdles, the obstacles, the joys, and those sad moments that you see during this. People forget about this. But I think it's important to remember this thing, because that is the only way you can rebuild. Because anything that you build, anything where you are, most of the things have a shelf life, right? So when things are not working so well, I think it defines people in a significantly different way. So my question is that when you're rebuilding and you're failing, right, whether because of your own or because of somebody else or the factors which affects any kind of growth, how do you find the strength to get back up? Because it hurts you. It hurts your ego. It makes you feel little. It makes you feel incomplete, right? But how do you get out of that? How do you find strength to move on without carrying resentment for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I was going to say thank you for describing the last 3 months of my life. Now I don't have to do it and sit here and do that. No. How do I find the strength? I'm a very faithful person. Some people want to call it the universe. Some people want to call it God, whatever everybody feels. For me, it's God. And I don't think I find the strength. I think it's given to me, honestly. I think it's been given to me my whole life. I think that my purpose, when I, in a broader picture, say to leave the world a better place, I think that God gave me a big voice and a big platform and bravery. And a lot of things have happened to me that I wouldn't have chosen. but being able to talk about those things today and give people the lack of silence about things that people are typically silent about. One of the things that I talk about when I'm on my speaking engagements is the isolation tax. Trying to deal with things by ourselves is very, very lonely, and the conversation of it's lonely at the top. And I roll my eyes when I say that, because I used to think, oh yeah, it's real lonely at the top. I'm sure it's real lonely up there, It is.
It is quite lonely.
It is. It is very lonely.
The higher you climb, the lonelier it gets.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. But I think that something which is very set in my mind, that people fail. We all fail.
Yep.
Because of extrinsic factors or our intrinsic factors, we fail. But I think the fail, when you're falling, your fall could be broken up by the relationships that you develop. Right? They make it easier.
They do.
But if you are only just seeking power, alienating everybody else around you, and when you fail, I don't think that anybody comes to your help at any given time.
100%.
I think that those relationships goes a long way.
I think that's everything, honestly.
Yeah.
Relationships and reputation. And I have said that for years. My first rebuild was leaving the Business Journal after 20 years with that company and starting TBBW, Tampa Bay Business and Wealth. What got me through that 100% were my reputation and my relationships. And people trusted me, right? And I think that's also one of your questions that I had looked at ahead. You said, what do you think? What is the single most important thing in a relationship? And to me, it's trust.
Trust.
And once that's gone, for me, you don't get it.
Don't bring it back.
My favorite thing I ever heard to describe when you break somebody's trust is if you wad up a piece of paper and you try to spread it back out, it never looks the same.
All this
it never looks the same.
So that's a nice way to explain those things. Now, one thing which is fascinating that you have built different things, right? You do get a certain attachment to your to whatever the purpose, whatever you're trying to build, a company or a process, and it is difficult to walk out of it. You fall in love with what you have built, right? And then you have to rebuild it again. How do you, because it can impede your growth altogether if you cannot really move on.
Absolutely. My phone case says nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Being uncomfortable and getting comfortable being uncomfortable is definitely not my favorite thing to do. I like things a certain way, but I think that what keeps it from feeling like failure is if you can learn from it and evolve from it and grow from it, right? Failing forward, said another way.
Yeah.
And that's how I always try to look at things. I was on a podcast, I guess it's my new favorite thing to do, with somebody, and it was kind of a panel discussion. He said he stopped saying, why did this happen to me? And started saying, why did this happen for me?
Right.
And I hear that in my head a lot now, right? And that was pretty life-changing for me.
Right.
That, okay, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me, and what am I going to do with it?
There are stages of grief, right? When you're disappointed, when you think that you are failing. One thing that I do, I try to reflect on sometime almost as a neutral person, that what could have been done differently. Right? A friend of mine once said to me that when you're failing, three things happen to you. Right? You either get angry, right? You completely freeze, or you think about what it may look like if it could be done differently. I try to do this practice, every time something is not working. What is your philosophy? How do you deal with that?
Well, how I've dealt with it in the past is I have a saying that I hear over and over again in my head, and that my daughter and my husband both repeat back to me now sometimes if I'm not saying And that is put one foot in front of the other and do the next logical thing. That makes me feel like I have control over things. I can do that. I can put one foot in front of the other and I can do the next logical thing. But I also don't have to look at doing the next 100 things, right? I'm going to do the next thing. And as long as I keep that momentum going, I'm going to go somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. Now, you have dealt with hundreds and hundreds of CEOs and leaders. I mean, this is what you do for a living. What are the common themes, the goods and the bads, and the exceptional? What are the themes that you see which puts people in a different bucket altogether?
Adversity, believe it or not. Most of the CEOs, almost, I would say 98 out of 100, had just incredible adversity in their lives. One that was a couch surfer when he was in elementary school because his mom was a drug addict, right? And he ended up making 40 people in Tampa Bay millionaires. One who was basically left by her mom at 17 and told to finish high school and figure out what she was going to do with her life. And ended up going into the military and having a really horrible experience in the military. And she's running a $30-40 million company now, right? But common theme over and over and over again was adversity and overcoming it. And at some point reaching that cross in the road and having to make a decision of, am I going to spend the rest of my life saying, oh, woe is me? Or am I going to go do something with my life? And they all clearly made the other decision, right?
Yeah, I think that makes people adapt slightly differently. I think what you were saying earlier, that it takes away that tag. Why is it happening to me? Versus what can I do differently?
Yep.
I think that is a common theme that I see in some of the greatest personalities in history. Other than the way they came to a certain point or their journey, what are the good themes that you see in good leaders that you see universally, that what makes them different in their current roles? So there's a journey which brought them to where they are, and then when they are carrying the next stage of their life or leading people in, what are the common themes that you've seen that are the strengths and some of the other things that people can avoid or walk away from?
I think the biggest strength that I have seen that has been common in the CEOs and owners and founders that I've worked with in my career is a real big focus on giving back, on also, say it again, leaving the world a better place than it was when they got here, right? And I think that a lot of people think that happens for tax purposes, right? And it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it certainly is an advantage, right? But it's not why they do it. I think it's that people gave to them, that communities, in a lot of cases, helped them in some of those adversities that we were talking about. And they feel a responsibility, and I feel a responsibility to give back and to make a difference for somebody else, like someone did for me, right?
Yeah. I find a certain set of people who are so hardened by the challenges that they face that they just cannot move. They are just stuck in time. They cannot see the future. They are always reverting back to the past. They cannot see the future. And I think that makes things, I think that some of the leaders who are always looking for adaptability, looking to make a change, not just for your own good, but for the people around. I think a common good takes you up to a different place than just trying to take care of yourself alone. I think that that's something I feel goes a long way. Now, we still need more woman leadership, and I know this is one of the questions I would love to hear from you. That what challenges do you see this world that we live in, right? I mean, there is still a divide, right? There is still an opportunity, and you fighting yourself all the way to where you are today. I would love to hear your perspective. Is it easy? Is it more tough? Is it, what does it take?
For women specifically?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I know it's not a question that I was supposed to ask, but I am going to ask you because it is right in front of us, right? We see this every day. The pay scales for how the women are treated versus the men. How in a conference room sometimes you can see a difference, and sometimes you have to push through to make yourself heard. Tell me what your experience has been from that perspective.
I've often been the only woman in the room, and that's something that I think has gotten it's gotten better. Certainly, I tell a story all the time about this guy, and I wonder if he hears it and thinks, "Is she talking about me?" That I walked into his office one time and said, "We've been talking about doing business together for years. We've not been able to find a way to do so. What is it that I'm not doing that I need to be doing in order to earn your business?" And I'm not that old, right? So I'm not talking about in the 50s. I'm talking about in the 90s. He said, wear shorter skirts and lower cut shirts like the rest of the blanks in your industry, right? And I was like, that just happened.
What was your reaction?
I turned around and walked out of his office. I absolutely turned around and walked out of his office. In the early 2000s, here in this town, in 2007, actually, when I first moved here, I won't name the organization, and this person is no longer with them. But when I walked into his office, and I walked in with huge recommendations from huge people, right? That's why I got the meeting, was because of the recommendations that I had in his industry. And he kicked his feet up on the desk, crossed them, and looked at me and said, "Let me tell you how this is going to go, sweetheart." I was the publisher of the Business Journal. "Let me tell you how this is going to go, sweetheart." And I turned around and walked out of his office. So yes, it still exists. It's not nearly as prevalent as it was in the 90s and the early 2000s. But we still don't have 50% of the seats at the table. We still don't run 50% of the top 100 companies in America. It's at best, I think 20% is where we're trying to get, right? And still aren't there.
No.
I don't know what's going to change that other than what changes everything. And that's talking about it, right? Stopping the silence, recognizing it and having conversations about it. And in my previous life, both previous lives, I did a women's recognition event, and I would hear from people every single time, "Why don't you do it for men?" And I'm like, because men don't need it, right? Yeah. White men don't need a recognition event. There's plenty of those. And then I would hear from some that would say, "Do we really still need that?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, until we have 50% of the seats at the table, until we're running 50% of the top 100 companies, we still need that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just talking about it over and over and over again.
Yeah. What are your personal drivers? What drives you every day? I mean, for certain people, drivers are just reaching to a destination. You said about your mission. You said about your purpose. You talked about faith. What else? What else comes to your mind?
My family.
Family.
Yeah, and what I'm hoping I'm going to leave to them. I have a almost 1-year-old granddaughter. She'll be 1 next week, I think, actually.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That has certainly changed my perspective. My daughter has been what has inspired me she'll be 31 this year. So for the last 30 years, I have an amazing husband who's incredibly supportive.
I met him. Seems like a really nice guy.
He is a really nice guy. Yes, that's the best compliment, right? He's a really nice guy, genuinely all the time, 24 hours a day.
Supportive.
Yes.
Supportive. Yeah.
Making my mom proud, I mean, silly stuff like that obviously drives me. But again, I think it's leaving this world a better place and finding problems that someone else hasn't solved that I'm uniquely positioned to solve.
I'm going to switch gears just a bit. I think one of the big difference that I see in in leadership, good and bad leadership, is the ability to work with people that you don't like, right? It's significantly easier to work with people that you like, but the inability to work through challenges or inability to work with people who are quote unquote, troubling. Right? What's your take on that?
This past experience, most recent, I think I would prefer to work with people I don't like. Honestly.
So they are so absolute. I will give you that.
I honestly think I would prefer not to like the people that I work with, because I think it puts you in a position of, there's a difference between being friends and being friendly, right?
100%.
And when I like someone too much, I like to be their friend. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the hardest lessons that I have learned is that you can't be friends with the people who work for you. So I would rather work with people I don't like. That's a new thing, right? I wouldn't have said that 6 months ago. I think the ability to work with anyone is a very important aspect of a leader, right? You have to be able to work with people that you like, that you don't like, that you disagree with, that maybe do things different than you would do them. I mean, you have to be able to do that. That's one of those things that's like non-negotiable.
And one of the other thing that I see is that you see something, you see a certain different face when you are on the camera, or when you're in front of other people, or when you're on a table, conference table, where you see a completely different aspect of it when you're in a closed room, and the real you comes out. Do you see that?
Yes.
You see that not just in one particular instance. You have, interviewed, you have a showcase hundreds of leaders out there. What do you see behind the scenes? Behind the scene, that have you ever been to a place where you thought, oh, this is completely different than what I saw earlier?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Without naming anybody.
Yes.
I mean, what are the common themes or stories or something that you have seen that made you think twice about your process?
That made me think twice about my process. I loved my process, actually, and I love this. Right. This is the thing that AI can't take away. This eyeball to eyeball, human connection, human interaction. If we learned anything in 2020, we learned that we crave this, right? And this can never go away. It can never go away. I think that society sets us up in some instances for inauthenticity. I think that oftentimes it's from a place of being afraid of not being accepted.
Yeah.
Or that people won't understand, or that people will judge you, right? I get accused all the time of being too authentic. What you see is what you get, right? There is no different Bridgette. This is it. This is who I am. Not everybody loves that, right? Not everybody loves somebody that shows up authentically who they are, unapologetically, right? So yeah, there's a whole lot of people who act a certain way in public and very different in private. It's not the people that I choose to be around. It's not the people that I put on the covers. It's not the people that I put on stage, right? I think I'm really good, with the exception of one, of knowing who people are and picking to be around the people that I want to be around because I know who they are.
This happens more frequently than we anticipate. It happens.
Yep.
And but I feel that, Bridgette, that should never, and I'm sure you are the same way too, they should not stop you from trusting people. It should not stop you. I think the majority of the people, they have goodness in them. And then people often ask me, Irfan, you should not be trusting. You should not be doing this. People will take advantage. And I often say that it's okay. Because majority of the people that I have been with, they've been good.
You get me a raw place right now. I don't know that it's been long enough for me to be able to say. I too trust too quickly, too quickly. I trust you until you give me a reason not to, right? Maybe it's because it's a raw place, right? But one of the things that I have had to step back and ask myself, how did I find myself in this most recent transition? And I sold my interest and it's fine, right? I trust people too much. And not everyone is inherently good or fun. They're not.
Not everybody. Yes, I do. I do agree.
There's bad people out there. There's really bad people out there.
Bad. There's evil out there.
There's evil out there.
All levels of spectrum of things that you see.
My husband and I sometimes will watch this show, American Greed. Have you ever watched it?
Unfortunately, no. I have not. I've been watching Mole these days.
Okay. American Greed is a good, mindless, monotone, not episodic, great. So it's if we've got an hour and we want to watch something, we'll watch it.
Sure.
We find ourselves saying, if those people, they're incredibly smart, right? The Ponzi schemes, the things they pull off, they're clearly incredibly smart. If they would just take that smarts and put it towards good, right?
Yeah.
At some point, they're making a decision that they're not going to do the right thing. They're going to do the wrong thing. Yeah. And so there are clearly people out there who are not good at art. And one of the things that I'm going to figure out how to do, and I will let you know if I do, is to trust but verify, right?
True.
Instead of just automatically trusting somebody until they give me a reason not to, I'm going to trust but verify.
True. I know one thing that I try to do. So of course, I mean, as a person, as a leader, as anything, I mean, you have to be cautious about trust, right? But one thing that makes my decisions easier is the track record. You know, I look at people's track record that, you know, if you have repeated, you know, you can see a certain pattern repeat itself. You know, you need to be cautious with those individuals. But for the most part, I'm a firm believer that if you do good, for the most part, good comes out. For the most part.
100%.
Not always.
I
think that the other part is you're looking for a communal good, not just for myself.
Right.
I think that good things comes out of it. I think purpose defines or leads you to a better place. If your purpose are good, I think good things comes out of it. Not always. I think we all get burned at some time, which I can understand where you are coming from. How do you battle this thing internally? What do you do because I've been places that I got angry and, you know, and I was showing up with my face, you know, become, you know, it has closed captioning on my face that people can see what is going inside.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. So I have to figure it out how I can turn off my closed captioning, right? And not just, you know, on my face, but I want to make sure that I calm myself, right? So I do different things. I say that there are certain things which makes me refocus. You know, for me, it could be writing, it could be painting, it could be just going to the gym, you know, some mental, physical, emotional, something to do with faith, which, you know, which centers you down. What do you do?
It's a good question. I have been accused of not having hobbies. And I also have closed caption.
You do have,
or don't
that I
have
noticed the first time I saw
caption.
You. Right. I remember when you interviewed me. I can tell right away that okay, so this is going to be a closed captioning. I can see. All right.
I need to train my face not to say. Like I've trained my mouth not to say the things that I'm thinking. I need to train my face not to say the things that I'm thinking. My granddaughter is, if I can get time with her, it completely changes my mood. It changes everything. Changes the world for me. She's just incredible in knowing that she's my daughter's daughter and that there's a part of me that's in her and how that impacts me in the time that I get to spend with her. It's like a drug. It's crazy. Yeah. It really is. I think everyone should have grandbaby. And if you could skip the kid part and go straight to the grandbaby part, that would be even better, right?
Very well said. Very well said. I don't have this experience yet, but I'm looking forward to
Oh my God, it's incredible.
it. Is. I think that it is important. We don't talk about this as often, but I think that we all should have a mechanism that we can, we can shut the noise off.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it is your granddaughter or a grandbaby, or for me, it could very well be that I often say that I can work on a 3-inch metal plate, inscribing, carving, or doing something for hours, right, at night, and nothing else comes in, right? You're just focusing on that. Once I'm done with that, I feel wonderful. Or just sometimes just having a peaceful dinner with my wife, just not really worried about all the other things, all the external factors. For you, I'm sure it's the family and everything else. I think we just need to practice more and more that what other than the work that we have, other modalities which can re-energize us, refocus us to where we are.
I like to cook. That makes me not think of other things. I really like to cook, and that surprises a lot of people about me, but I do, and I'm good at it. P.S.
Invite me over anytime you are cooking again. Do invite me over.
Absolutely.
I would love to hear more about that. Well, Bridgette, I mean, I think that you are a phenomenal person. I think your journey has been consistent. You believe in a certain cause, a certain mission, and I can see through. I can see that I can see the substance that you have. So what is next?
My new favorite thing to talk about. Yeah. Well, you actually set me up for it, and I don't even think that you knew that you were setting me up for it, right? I have spent my entire career with CEOs, business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, right? Mm-hmm. Those people. And I've learned some really incredible things from them. And I don't want to give that up, right? And so I said earlier, I look for problems that I'm uniquely positioned to solve, right? And so with this most recent transition, I sat back and thought, okay, where are there things that I am uniquely positioned to be able to help? What I have come up with is called the Executive Collective. Very proud of it. There are 3 collectives under the Executive Collective, and the real purpose of the mission is still going to be a written piece, believe it or not, but it's going to be a transfer of knowledge. The isolation tax that I talked about earlier, right? There's very little transfer of knowledge from where you sit. I'm blessed to have gotten some of it because I was in the position to ask those questions, right? There's a whole lot of people who are not in that position and don't get that opportunity. And so the printed piece, but there won't be ads, there won't be sponsorships, there won't be any of that. It'll be an archive of these kinds of conversations. And within the collectives, there will be a women's only collective, women CEOs only. It's called Sovereign. There will be a stewards collective, which will be for sitting executives that are growing and scaling their companies. And then the third will be successors. We as a nation are about to go through the largest leadership transfer that has ever happened in the history of this country. Sure. There is nobody that is preparing people to take those seats. And so I'm very excited to not only do the transfer of knowledge from the seated executives that are currently in leadership, but to also help bring in the next level, the next crew.
Wow, that is very noble. That is,
Thank you.
And that is helpful. I feel that, like I say, there's certain things I don't know anything about, but there are certain things you can get me up 2 a.m, and it takes me 5 minutes to figure those things out. For some, it may take 6 months because the knowledge has not been transferred. So I think that, just like in leadership, that, you light the candle, from one person to another person to another person. I think that would be wonderful. I am looking forward to hearing more about it. Well, Bridgette, any final thoughts? I'll give you the last few things you want to talk about, and I really appreciate you coming down here.
No, I really appreciate you having me. I think the final thought is just that I think you and I clicked from the beginning because we're both purpose-driven people, because we both want to leave this world a better place. And I didn't know we both had faces that said what we were thinking, but now I know that too, right? I'm just honored to be here and really have enjoyed getting to know you and appreciate you having me here today.
It's my honor. You are a phenomenal person. You are a strong person. I love that you can verbalize your passion in a way that a lot of people cannot. Another thing that I admire about you, you have a very unique niche. A lot of people don't create. This is a very unique niche with the leadership and bringing people, especially the people, into focus who have gone through adversity to be something. Not somebody, something which is meaningful, not just for them, but for the communities. I think that's a very unique niche that you have found, and all of us, admire it very much. Thank you again, Bridgette. I appreciate you coming down over here, and it's been fun. And hopefully we'll get you back here sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll have you on my podcast next.
I'll be there. Thank you so much.